Hello everyone, welcome to Novation. I'm Shantanu and I welcome you all to the fourth business awareness session of 2020. And I'm really excited to tell you that we are going to learn some important concepts and terminologies in finance. So friends, this is not only going to be helpful for you from exam perspective, but also from your reading perspective for your reading comprehensions. Because you'll be reading various articles and business news in your newspapers and online websites. So there might be some terminologies related to finance which you might not be very comfortable with. So here we are going to discuss various such terminologies which will help you, understand the articles in a better manner. Okay, so without any further ado, let's start our session. So the first term that we are going to see today is assets and its types. So friends, you must have heard the word assets and might be having a fair idea about it. But here we'll go into depth and understand it in a better way. So an asset is anything which contains economic value. It means that in the future you can sell it off and have an economic profit with it. From it you can have benefit of it by selling it and converting it into cash for future benefits. Okay. Let's see its broad categories. So there are two categories: personal assets and business assets. So personal assets include cash, savings account, the money in your saving account, bonds, land, car, etc. So all of these are your personal assets. What are bonds we'll see at a later stage in the video. And business assets, these include machines, property on which your company is built, raw material used for your production, and inventory. So what is inventory? Friends, inventory means a finished good which is still present in your company, in your warehouses, and it can be sold off easily. Okay, it's a finished good basically which is stored in your company. So that is inventory. So these are all the business assets for a company. And business assets are of two types. So the first is current assets. Friends, current assets are those type of assets which can be converted into cash within one fiscal year. The most important thing is they can be converted into cash and taken the economic benefit out of them within 1 year. And fiscal year, here we consider fiscal year. It means in India we take fiscal year as from 1st April to 31st March. So that's our fiscal year. In some countries they generally take 1 Jan to 31st December. So these are current assets, and its examples can be inventory, because inventory are finished good, they can be sold off easily. And short-term bonds, cash, these all can be converted and converted into cash and taken economic benefit within 1 year or in a very short period of time. So its opposite will be fixed or non-current assets. You must have understood it, that these are the type of assets which have a life more than 1 year. So they give economic benefit generally after a year. And its example can be property, equipment, patents, and copyright. So these are generally long-term assets. They give you economic benefit over a longer duration of time, not just 1 year. Okay, I hope assets is very clear. Let's move forward. Now the next term that we will see is liability and its types. So friends, liability is anything a person or a company owes, that is called as liability. If you owe something, you'll have to pay it back. So liability is to be paid back, and usually it is a sum of money. That's a no-brainer. So if you owe some money to someone, then it will be your liability. Let's see the types of liability. So the first is, as we have seen in assets, current liabilities. So these are the debts, or debt means loan. So these are the debts which are payable within one fiscal year or 1 year. These are current liabilities. For example, your EMIs, college fees. So these are some of the liabilities which you pay within a year or every month. And the next one will be long-term or non-current liabilities. These are the debts payable over a longer period of time. For example, a 5-year loan taken by infrastructure company would be considered a non-current liability because it will have to be paid back after 5 years. Okay, so this is really similar to assets, like current assets and current liabilities. Current non-current assets will be similar to non-current liabilities. I hope this is clear. Moving forward. Now the next term that we will see is equity. So friends, let's see what equity is. So in finance or financial management, equity is defined as the value attributable to the owners of a business or to an individual. So here, owners of the business. So if any owner gives his own money for a company, then that money will be considered as the equity in the business. Similar is the case with an individual. If he is giving some money or is having some money with himself, then it will be considered his equity. Okay, so this might be a bit confusing. Let's understand with an example. So friends, let's suppose you want to buy a house which is worth 10 lakhs. So you want to buy it, and since it is a house, it will have a economic value, and economic value, those things which have economic value, they are called assets. Okay, so it's an asset for you. You want to buy it, but you don't have the actual 10 lakhs with you. So what you will do, you will go to the bank and you will take 7 lakh rupees of loan. Okay, you have taken 7 lakh rupees of loan. Now it's a debt you owe the bank, so it will be considered your liability. I hope it is clear. This will be a liability to you. Now you have 3 lakhs rupees with you. Okay, so what you will do, you will give this money also, because you want to buy the total amount of the house is 10 lakh. So this amount is called equity. The money which you are putting into the asset is called equity. It is 3 lakhs here. Okay, so the asset will be equal to liability plus equity. And friends, this is the most important equation in financial accounting. It is called fundamental accounting equation and is very intuitive. So this assets equals to liability plus equity is called the fundamental accounting equation. This is very important. We are going to use it in the coming slides. And why I am telling it is intuitive, because anything you owe, any asset you owe, your money will be something which you have given and something which you have borrowed from others. For example, I have bought a car of 5 lakh rupees, but I have given only 2 lakh to it and 3 lakhs I have taken as loan. Okay, so every asset will be equal to liability plus equity. So this is something you don't need to cramp. You can very intuitively think about it. Assets equal to liability plus equity. Okay, and this is the same scenario for any business also. Like I opened a company, I have put my 1 crore rupees and 2 crores I am taking as a loan from a maybe a bank. Okay, so that will be the similar case as we have taken this small example. I hope equity is very clear. Let's move forward. Now comes the balance sheet. Very, very important in your first semester, or when you're going to do your MBAs, you're going to use it a lot in the first semester. Okay, so a balance sheet is basically a financial statement. Very important word. It's a kind of financial statement. It gives details about the finances of a company, which reports a company's assets, liabilities and shareholders equity. Friends, equity and shareholders equity both are the same thing. So a balance sheet will give the details of a company's assets, its liabilities and also the equity of the shareholders. And another very important thing is it gives this picture on a specific point of time, on a specific date. Like generally it is made for the 31st March on every year by every company. Okay, so it gives the details of assets, liabilities, equity on a particular date at a specific point. Other statements are also there which are not for a particular instance of time. Okay, also why it is called balance sheet, because the fundamental accounting equation which we saw, assets equals to liability plus shareholders equity, must always be balanced while making a balance sheet. So this equation must always be fulfilled. The whole assets of the company must be equal to it, the whole liabilities plus the whole shareholders equity. So this equation must always hold true whenever you're going to make a balance sheet. So such questions might trouble you in your first semester. This is a very difficult task to match this equation. Okay, so let's move forward and see the example of balance sheet. So this is an example balance sheet of a company. So on one side you will have assets, for example current assets and investments, your long-term assets, your intangible assets. Intangible assets are those which you cannot touch, basically your copyrights or patents or intellectual property. All these are they come under intangible assets. Also goodwill. And so here the total assets are these and then we move to the second side, which contains liabilities. Here we will have current liabilities, long-term liabilities and then total liabilities. Now the last thing, equity. So all the stocks, your earnings and your treasury stock, these are different terms which we might not delve into deeper. and this formulates your equity. So the total liabilities and equity when added, it comes to be 770,000, and it is same as assets. So total assets equals to liabilities plus stockholders equity. The equation must always be balanced in a balance sheet. Okay, let's move forward. Now next is income statement. Friends, like we saw balance sheet, it was a financial statement. Similarly, income statement is also a financial statement. It's a second type of financial statement, but its motive is pretty different. In the balance sheet, we were learning about the assets, liabilities and equity, but in income statement, we are going to learn about the revenues of a company, that is the inflow of the money, what are its earnings, the cost and expenses of a company, what cost it is putting up in buying the raw materials, paying the salaries, expenses, administrative expenses. All these expenses and costs come under this section, and the profit earned during a year, and the taxes which are paid. So this statement is not on a particular instance of time. It is made for a whole fiscal year, 12 months, or for quarter wise, like for quarter 1 3 months, and similarly for other quarters. Okay, so as I told you, it is during a specified period, whole period, usually a fiscal, quarter or year. Okay, I hope it is clear. We will see the example of income statement to understand it better. Okay, so let's move to the income statement. So here's an example of profit and loss, or your income statement. It will first contain the income generated from your business. It will have all the revenues from your sales of the product or the services which you're making. Then cost of goods are to be reduced from this figure. What are cost of goods? It contains material and labor cost. So it has been reduced, and we have the net figure. Then we reduce all the expenses, for example advertising, depreciation, insurance. You can read more about these. And now all of these is reduced from gross profit, and then it comes the net operating profit. From here, if you reduce the taxes, then you will get the profit after tax. Okay, so this is an example of profit and loss statement. It is much more elaborate. It's a very easy one. If you want to read more about these statements, you can go to the annual report of any of the listed company, then you can see all these statements there. Okay, let's move forward. Next we will see is bonds. So what are bonds? Friends, bonds are in a very basic way, they are loans, and these are the loans which are made by investors, for example any other big company or any individual, and these loans are given to big corporates or governments for a fixed duration of time. So what corporates or big governments do, they form a contract kind of thing that is called bond. It is very similar to a fixed deposit, and they give it to the investor. Okay, and in return, investor will give them the principal amount of the bond, and then the company will give the investor interest on a regular basis to the investor, fixed amount of interest. And when this bond get matured, the investor is liable to get the whole amount of the principal plus the whole interest. Okay, so that's how basically bonds work. And let's see more about them. So when companies or entity needs to raise money to finance new or ongoing project, they may issue a bond. So it's not necessary that they will issue bonds whenever they want a new project to start. They can issue bonds even for their regular day-to-day activities also. Like they want to finance their activities, they don't have money and they don't want to take loan. So what they can do is they can issue bonds for the individuals. Okay. Next, bonds are commonly referred to as fixed income securities. Why? Because they provide periodic income payments. As I told you, the investor will get a fixed amount of interest, say 6% interest on the principal amount monthly or even within 6 months on a predetermined fixed interest rate. So that's why they are called fixed income securities. And on maturity, the lender also gets his principal amount back. As I told you, the investor will get the whole interest plus the principal amount also, it will be given to the investor. And if you want to see how a bond looks, it looks something like this. It's an American company issued by American company of $5 bond. Okay, so it will have the name of the person who is owing the bond and the amount of the bond. Okay, and the interest rate or all the details which are about it. Okay, moving forward, next important term is NPAs, that is non-performing assets. So friends, you might be reading a lot about the NPA problems in banks and NBFC sector. So that's why I have put it here so that we have a good understanding of what NPAs are. So if any loan you have taken from a bank is not repaid, either its principal or its interest, for a period of 90 days or 3 months, then that loan is termed as a NPA, that is non-performing asset. And why asset? Because for a bank, the loan which it gives to other people or the borrowers, it is their asset, because banks generate interest on that loan, so it get economic value from their loans. That's why it is called a asset. And the different name for NPAs is bad loans or bad assets. Okay. So banks generally classifies NPA into 3 different classes. Let's see them. The first is substandard asset. So if any loan remains an NPA for a period less than or equal to 12 months, then it is termed as a substandard asset. If the interest or the principal is not repaid for a period of 12 months, then it's a substandard asset. Next is the doubtful asset. If you are not going to pay the interest or the principal of the loan for a period more than 12 months, then it will become a doubtful asset, doubtful loan. And the last is loss asset. It means there is no chance of getting the repayment of the loan in terms of its principal or its interest, no chance. So it will be a loss for the bank, then it's called a loss asset. So it is considered uncollectible and is of very little value, so that it need not to be written in your balance sheet or on your financial statement, and it had to be fully written off. Banks have to accept that yes, it is a loss, and they have to remove it from their financial statement. So these are the 3 types of NPAs. I hope it is very clear to you. You can ask any doubts in the comment section if you're feeling. Okay, let's move forward. Next is NII, that is net interest income. So previously I explained you that for a bank, the loan which it gives are its assets because it earns interest on it. Okay, so here we are going to see a similar concept. So NII is the difference between interest income of a bank earned from its lending activities, that is loans. So the interest earned from loans minus the interest it pays to its depositors, to the depositors. If you deposit your money in your savings account, you get around 2 to 3% interest rate. Okay, but the loans are around 9 to 10% interest rate. So this difference is called net interest income. This is the main source of income for the bank, NIIs. Okay, and other sources of income for banks are demand draft and lockers. The extra charges which a bank cuts from your account for lockers or demand drafts, advisory services to corporates, trading income, commissions which it charge from your net banking or from other sources. These are its income sources other than NII, but NII is the most important source of income for a bank. Let's move forward. Now we will see what are mutual funds. So you might also be hearing a lot about it, and some of you might be investing in them also. So a mutual fund is a pool of money or a collection of money which has been taken from a number of investors and is managed by a professional fund manager. So there will be a manager and he will be collecting a lot of money from various different investors, and he will put this money in various financial instruments so that he can earn money and give interest payment back to the investors after taking a slight amount for his service. Okay, so that will be his income. And the fund manager invests the same in equity, that is share market, bonds as I told you, and other financial securities. Next, the income gains generated from this collective investment is distributed proportionally among investors after deducting the applicable expenses and levies. So these expenses and levies goes to the pocket of the fund manager, and the remaining amount is distributed among the investors. Now very important terminology that we will see is NAV, net asset value. So friends, as you might be seeing in share market, every share has a market value or a price continuously changing throughout the day. Similarly, every mutual fund has a net asset value. So in the similar manner, a mutual fund has a per share market value. So it is the per share market value. If you want to purchase one share of any mutual fund, then you'll have to give this NAV, that is net asset value. Okay, and it is the price at which investor buy bid price fund share from a fund company and sells them at redemption price to a fund company. So bid price पर वो खरीदेगा investor and redemption price पर he will sell that mutual fund share. Okay, I hope mutual fund is clear. Let's move to the last terminology. So I would say this is a very interesting concept, risk and its types. So friends, risk is nothing but the probability that a financial loss will occur to the investor in any kind of investment. So it's just a probability, how much loss are you going to face while investing in a financial security. So that is risk. And let's see more. So a financial institution faces the following types of risks. The first is credit risk. Now friends, credit risk is when there is a risk of default by a borrower. So for example, let's say I have purchased a bond from a company and it was giving me an interest of 5% per month, but from the last 2 or 3 months I haven't got any interest. So that's a default. The corporate bond defaulted. Okay, so that's the kind of credit risk that I may face. Next is liquidity risk. So liquidity, as the name suggests, it is concerned with the liquid money. So this is the risk of not having cash, that is liquid money, when it is required. So taking an example of a bank, for example, say there is a economic crisis and each of us go to the bank to withdraw the money. Will the bank be able to give the whole money to each and every investor? No, it will face a liquidity crunch because bank cannot return all the money in a single day. It has given the deposits to the borrowers. It has given various loans. It cannot give out all the deposits at the single time. Next is operational risk. So friends, this is the risk of loss occurring due to inefficiency in banks, people, process and system. For example, any security threat to the system happened or someone hacked the whole banking system of a bank, then it will be a operational risk to the bank. Next is regulatory risk. As the name suggests, if any financial institution is not able to comply with the regulations of the regulator, then it might face a loss. Then this type of loss will be due to regulatory risk. Next is market risk. So friends, some kind of risk are same for all kind of businesses or all kind of financial institution. For example, we are seeing the present pandemic COVID-19. So it has disturbed the markets or financial institution of various economies. So this is a type of market risk. Other type of risk could be geopolitical tensions like war kind of situation or some recession, changes in interest rates or exchange rate. So these affect all the markets in a similar fashion. It will be not limited to India. It will also affect various economies. Okay, it is also called systematic risk. Okay, I hope risk and its type is clear. So friends, now we have come to the assignment section and I want you guys to read the basics of cash flow statement. This is the third type of financial statement. We have seen the two type of statement. This is the third type. Next is hedge funds. So these are similar to mutual fund. So read the basic about them. Debentures and derivatives. So as we have seen bonds, these are also debt instruments which I want you guys to read about. And the last is read the basics of NBFC and the present crisis which are faced by NBFCs. Okay, so friends, we have come to an end to the session. I hope the video was helpful and I thank you for watching it. If you have liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends and subscribe to Novation for more awesome content. So friends, I'll see you next time with another awesome video. All the very best. Bye bye.